Salutations, my name is Ryzen, and I'd like to talk to you about the storyline from Final Fantasy XII. Now, Final Fantasy XII in the past has gotten several bad reviews, which I believe in part is due to the combat system, but also due to the fact that the story itself is drawn out over a few hundred hours. I mean, literally over 200 hours for one file. My first playthrough, I did not get the story at all. I played through a few times now. So I'm making this movie with my commentary in between cutscenes to help you better understand the story. This is largely my interpretation, but I'm hoping you can get more out of it. There's also a lot of lore you can read from enemy descriptions and things like that in the game. I'll be including that. So without further ado, enjoy, and keep in mind, there are spoilers. Thank you.
Wedding Day Special!
It's beginning!
In the name of the Father, and in the presence of these holy relics, I hereby pronounce you man and wife from this time forth. May the blessings of the gods light your path for all eternity. Follow on.
If, following this, Arcadia should launch an attack by both land and air, our kingdom will stand little...
Nabudis has fallen.
Impossible! No.
My father? I know not. I am sorry.
If Nabudis has indeed fallen, it is only a matter of time before they reach the borders of Dalmasca. There is nothing to halt their advance.
Secure Nalvana with all haste.
I will go. And I will go at his side.
Altea, stand watch over your life.
That I be considered worthy.
blessings of the Great Father descend and guide your bodies return to the earth. Great Father, guide your spirits return to the Mother of all. There you shall find peace. Pharaoh.
The death of Lord Raslaheos Nabradia was but one of many tragedies to befall the kingdom of Dalmasca. The air of hope that had surrounded Her Royal Highness Princess Asha's wedding was now quite lost. Dalmasca had been set adrift at the mercy of history's restless tides. At this time, two great empires struggled for dominion over Ivalice: Arcadia in the east, Rosaria the west. The invasion of the Kingdom of Nabradia was Arcadia's first step in its westward march. With Lord Rasla's beloved homeland consumed by the hellfires of war, it seemed clear that Arcadia would soon mete out a like fate to Dalmasca. The fall of the fortress at Nalbina told the destruction of the greater part of Dalmasca's forces. A counterattack was mounted by the order of the Knights of Dalmasca, ever brave and faithful. But against the martial might of the Arcadian armies, they stood little chance of victory. Indeed, their defeat was to be absolute. Soon thereafter, Arcadia came forward, offering terms of peace, or, as one might rather put it, terms of Dalmasca's surrender. Lord Ramenos, King of Dalmasca, and my dear friend, had no choice but to accept these terms. It was, thus, only with reluctance that he set out for Nalbina Fortress, now under Arcadian occupation, to affix his seal to the Emperor's Treaty of Peace. The king had scarce departed his royal city of Rabanasta when the remnants of the Order made their return, and not a moment too soon, for a terrible revelation awaited them. The treaty would be signed with steel and writ in royal blood.
You there? Can you hear me?
It's as I feared. They're slowing us down.
Do not say that. Not all of us are here for love of battle. He fights to defend his homeland. Your name?
Rex, sir. My name's Rex.
Good. Rex. You bore a few cuts, but you are still whole. Well, can you stand? Think you can fight?
I'm fine, sir.
How old are you, Rex?
17, sir.
Young. Family?
My brother is all I have left, sir. He's 2 years younger than I, living in Rabanastre.
So young. You're barely old enough to be a man. You shouldn't be forced to wield a sword.
No, sir. I want to fight. For my homeland. And for my parents.
It's time, Bosch. Save the discussion for later. We must reach the king before they act, or all our efforts will be in vain.
I'm aware of the situation.
We found them! Over there!
Marcel, go ahead.
I will handle this rabble.
Godspeed.
Steady, Rex. Keep your wits about you and you'll make it. We move!
Captain?
Receive you, Tomberry. You've leave to retire. Well fought. My thanks, Antlion. Tomberry disengaging.
Where are you?
What if Captain Azalis has fallen?
Don't talk such nonsense. Vossler's laughed in the face of death far too many times for him to stop now. Men like him don't die in places like this. We must make haste to reach the king. We will take him to safety.
Is His Majesty unharmed?
He'll agree to an unconditional surrender. They wouldn't dare touch him until the wax on his seal is dry.
But if we arrive after he signed the treaty...
Wait. Quickly, Rex!
Intruders! Don't let them escape!
Sir, we have little time. You must go to the king. I'll handle these.
Fight well.
Majesty. Captain, why? Our king, what have you done?
The king intended all along to sell Damascus to the Empire. His Majesty was a traitor.
Captain,
Seize the insurgent!
Well, so much for peaceful negotiations.
We'll never surrender to you. We are not cattle to be sold by a traitor king.
But the war is over, my dear captain. You have lost. Dalmasca is the property of the Empire now. And to think, we intended to let you keep some of your sovereignty, out of respect. But now you've gone and ruined that. Haven't you, Captain?
We will never bow to you.
And the people of Dalmasca will hate you for it.
Take the captain away. Off you go.
Pretenses of peace left by the wayside, the Arcadian forces resumed their advance toward Rabanasta. Dalmasca's doom had been decided. To make resistance would serve no end. With this foremost in my thoughts, I, to the people of Dalmasca. Sons and daughters of Dalmasca, I bid you lay down your arms. Raise songs of prayer in their stead. Prayer for His Majesty King Raminas, ever merciful, a man devoted wholly to peace. Prayer, too, for the noble Princess Ash, who, wrought with grief at her kingdom's defeat, has taken her own life. Know also that Captain Bosch von Ronsenberg, for incitement of sedition and the assassination of His Royal Majesty King Raminas, has been found guilty of high treason and put to his death. They who at this late hour choose still the sword are cut of the same cloth as the captain, traitors who would lead Dalmasca to her ruin. Dalmasca's surrender without terms was soon to follow.
That was the introduction cutscene and the short section where you play as Vaughn's brother Rex 2 years before the game actually starts. Before I begin, I would like to point out that the Arcadian military uses the names of enemies from previous Final Fantasy games for their weapons and aircraft. You heard Tonberry and Antlion there. They were both enemies in previous Final Fantasy games that do not appear in Final Fantasy XII. You'll hear several of those which are more commonly summons from other Final Fantasies like Ifrit or Shiva. The important things to note about Rex's story and the narration, which was done by the Marquis Andor, who is the leader of Brujurba, is that Rex got separated from Bosch and was left behind to arrive at the room late, where it seems that Bosch had betrayed Dalmasca. That was actually Bosch's twin brother, Gabranth. Gabranth was working with Vayne Solidor, the Prince of Arcadia, to set up a very elaborate political ruse. What that did was it made it so Andor announced that Bosch had been a traitor and had been executed, and also that Princess Ash had committed suicide. What this did in a larger sense is Brujurba, trying to be a neutral country, was just trying to play ball with Arcadia, not getting invaded too. And if either of those things that Andor announced were just proven wrong or discredited, if Andor should ever rise up against Arcadia, it would look like he was lying for Arcadia, and the forces trying to resist Arcadia would distance themselves from him, which Ash does, as you'll see later on. The story continues 2 years later, where Vaughn has taken a starring role, and Dalmasca is under Arcadian occupation.
What'd you say?
Sir, you haven't paid, and I...
What? Haven't paid?
On second thought, please, sir, take it. It's a gift.
Leave the poor sod be. We don't want trouble today.
Your luck, peddler. Oops, sorry.
Which way you're going, Churl?
Huh? My pouch! It's gone!
The boy! Get out the way! Oh!
What? Hey, that's mine.
What do you mean, yours? You've been stealing again. What happens if they catch you? We need you to be there for us, Vaughn. You're no good to anyone if you're locked away in a dungeon.
Oh, what? Am I the leader now? We're orphans. The first thing you learn is you gotta watch out for yourself. Come on, Pinello. You know it as well as I do. Hey, you give that back. What do you think you're doing?
I thought that this money was the people of Dalmasca's property. The Imperials stole it from us, so it's only fair that we take it back. It's our duty as Dalmascans. Well, wasn't that what you said?
Yeah, but I never said anything about taking it back from me.
This is for that bread you took the other day. Just because I help Miguel out every now and then, it doesn't mean that you get to eat for free too, you know.
I know that. You think I like living like this? One of these days, I'll fly an airship of my own. I'll be a sky pirate, free to go where I will.
Well, be careful. You'll never fly anything if you're rotting in a dungeon. Oh, Miguel had some errands that need doing. He wanted you to drop by his place. It might be a good idea to lend a hand.
Under Arcadian occupation, Dalmascans were basically treated as second-class citizens. As you can see, it's not exactly a happy time for Dalmasca. You saw Vaughn there, who of course is Rex's younger brother, and Pinello, who is Vaughn's friend. Vaughn lost his parents from the plague 2 years before the war started. He was living with Pinello. Then Pinello lost her parents in the war, so they are currently both war orphans. For the first at least 20 hours of the game, you get tutorials and do some pretty meaningless tasks like make sunstones, all to allow Vaughn to sneak into the palace to try and steal back what is rightfully the belongings of the people of Dalmasca. And there, two sky pirates had a similar idea to sneak into the palace, and we meet Balthier and Fran.